this time, the expectation from the finance minister was little high, because they made a very simple calculation that next budget would be on the pre-election 2014. Therefore, this is the time when finance minister can utilize to take correct decisions, however unpopular it may be. Logic is perfect, but there is only one missing link. That missing link is every financial proposal, good, bad or indifferent, will have to be approved by the Parliament, and therefore finance minister will have to keep in mind the conditions prevailing on the ground and formulation of the policies which will definitely receive, will have to keep in mind the conditions prevailing on the ground and formulation of constitutional requirement, approval, that clapping and enjoyment would be very short-lived. Because of the ground reality which is prevailing, and particularly in the context of the situation, that policy shifts are also very quick. I would not like to mention any particular occasion, but the fact is decision taken in one house is reversed or changed within 24 hours when the same proposal approved by one house comes to the other house. If somebody ignores these facts, perhaps he could have come nearer to your satisfaction, but being in Parliament for the last 4 decades and knowing the mood of the persons who matters here, I had to be extra careful, and I had to make my colleagues also extra careful. Therefore, many of the things which could have been done, rather should have been done, could not be done just at the time of budget. But at the same time, we shall have to keep in mind that budget is one exercise, not the exercise. Many of the issues are to be addressed, and I have made it quite clear through series of interviews that many of the issues we shall have to address. It's not merely a question from merely the subsidy part of it, but there are larger issues involved in it, whether it is high volatility of the international commodity prices, whether long-term uncertainty in some major economies, whether continued fragility of growth in for a developed economy for a very long period of time, and when the inability of the institutions, in some cases it is found so obvious, then these issues cannot be kept under carpet. These will have to be addressed collectively by the government, political establishments, industries, and all cross-sections of the society who have a stake in it. Having said that, I will just like to make comments on very few points, and thereafter I would like to listen to your observations, queries. Myself and my colleagues would be glad to respond to them. In the past year, as all of you are aware, and I have dwelt in details, the global economic environment witnessed considerable uncertainty due to both political and economic developments. Despite significant weakness in global demand, the international fuel prices have remained buoyant, And this is one aspect we shall have to think of. Demand in Eurozone is nowhere near what should have been if the full recovery in Eurozone would have taken place. Same is the story with North America. But oil prices are not coming down. Growth in Eurozone area has slowed down, and a durable solution to the sovereign debt problem remains elusive. US is just beginning to recover. Japan is yet to emerge from the unfortunate twin impact of the earthquake and the nuclear disaster. There are some early signs of sluggishness even in the Chinese economy. At home, we have seen 4 consecutive quarters of growth deceleration. During 2008-9, it was 2. Continuous deceleration in 2 quarters, but during this period, continuous deceleration in 4 quarters from 8.3% to 6.1%. It is against this backdrop that we had to prepare the proposals for the Union Budget for 2012-13. It was necessary that topical and emerging concerns were effectively addressed. It is only then that I could hope to bring a convergence in the expectations of our investors, entrepreneurs and consumers on the macroeconomic prospects of the economy and elicit the required response from them. In drawing up the Union Budget proposals for 2012-13, I have focused on strengthening domestic growth drivers, encouraging private investment to regain its pre-2008 crisis growth momentum, and addressing supply constraints in infrastructure and agriculture sector. The initiative on improving the employability and opportunities for livelihood has been further strengthened to create more inclusive outcome in both rural and urban areas. This, in turn, is expected to improve the domestic demand and growth prospects in medium term. Critical element of the strategy to implement an ambitious but realistic fiscal consolidation roadmap and leveraging technology to give effect to a quantum improvement in government's expenditure management. This strategy involves expenditure management through cap on subsidies at 2% of GDP for 2012-13 and gradually taking it to 1.75% of the GDP over 3 years. Additional resource mobilization in 2012-13 of over rupees 41,440 crores to bridge the fiscal deficit. Better targeting of subsidies through the gradually expanding other platform, and expenditure monitoring and better expenditure planning through the amended provisions of the FRBM Act, wherein 3-year rolling targets on expenditure indicators have been prescribed. Several steps have been taken to strengthen the domestic growth drivers with a focus to recover the pre-crisis growth momentum in private investments. While fiscal consolidation will help in creating more space for private investment demand, improved financing and spending on infrastructure will help in improving business sentiments. We have taken steps to deepen capital markets and liberalize capital inflow, including through FIIs, FDI and DCBs to improve the access of Indian industry to cheaper credit. 2 new SME exchanges have been launched for facilitating fund availability to the SME sector. There are proposals for the creation of credit guarantee funds to improve credit flows to specific activities like skill creations and education. At the same time, we have increased planned spending with public spending on infrastructure going up by 17%, policy issues in specific sectors like power, coal, transport, low-income housing and textile have been addressed to ease the supply constraints on expansion. The agricultural thrust on specific crops and produce and on eastern region continues with increased allocations by over 17% from 7,860 crore to rupees 9,217 crores. Accelerated irrigation benefit program is being restructured with an increase in allocation of over 53% from rupees 2,034 crore to rupees 3,114 crore. The demand, particularly in the rural areas, should remain buoyant. Besides the demand-driven MG Narega, which has managed to ensure the implementation of the floor wages in the rural sectors and the remunerative minimum support prices with increased procurement, there is enhanced spending and attention being given to social security measures, including National Social Assistance Program, where allocations have been stepped up by 37% from rupees 6,158 crore to 8,447 crore. National Rural Livelihood Mission increase is by 34% from 2,914 crore to rupees 3,915 crore, and Backward Region Grant Fund by 22% from rupees 9,890 crore to 12,040 crore, and financial inclusion. These measures, coupled with the fact that core inflation has moderated in the past 3 months and that in the coming months we are looking at a reversal in the policy rates, should help in improving the business sentiments. I would like to assure you all that we are committed to protect the credibility of the numbers that you have seen in the budget proposal. All required measures will be pursued in putting the economy back on the high growth path. But the success would depend on collective efforts. Together, we have the means to address the challenges that we are likely to face in the coming years. We have worked jointly and come thus far, and there is no reason that we should not succeed in our future endeavors. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.